Hey, welcome to part 3. Last time we were here, we talked about just really how. How do you sit with someone? How do you care for them? How do you bear their burden and include God's voice? And that's really what we're going to talk about today is what is God's voice? What are his words toward someone? And this part of care is uniquely Christian. God has an active voice towards us, towards our everyday struggles. But first I want to ask just why. Why would you include the Bible in caring for another person? There's lots of ways to get through difficulty. Yeah, there's coping, there's skills, the relationship. I think it's a really fair question, just why? Why use the Bible at all? And so I want to let the scriptures kind of answer that for us even to start. So I'm going to read one passage for us slowly from 2 Timothy 3, and this is verse 16, which says, "All scripture is breathed out by God and profitable for teaching, for reproof, for correction, and for training in righteousness, that the man or woman of God may be complete and equipped for every good work." Yeah, and I don't want to overthink this. He says that these words are breathed out by God. It is his very breath. And when I think about just the counsel of God, he often counsels us, we learn, in ways that we would not counsel ourselves, with instructions we would not give ourselves. His counsel is unique. And it's not just for salvation. It's not just for being saved. It's for our everyday life. And that's why today we really want to focus on how. How can we use the scriptures to instruct us and to really help us care for ourselves and care for others.
Yeah, because that's a really big promise for every good work. And so we want to make that kind of tangible. We want to bring that into like, what does that mean for our everyday struggles? And so we just use an example really quick of anxiety. What is anxiety? What does that look like? It could be just fidgeting, restlessness, that sort of thing. It could move more into worry, nervousness, that kind of thing. Or as we move further down the spectrum, it could be panic attacks or things that really impact our daily lives. But in short, it's awful. Right? It's not a comfortable experience. It's very physical, and it's experienced most often as automatic, which is something that we'll talk about in a few minutes.
Yeah, so just to fill that category, some ways that I've seen anxiety, even in the church this year, was meeting with a mom who was having panic attacks daily, feeling totally out of control of her body. I met with a college-age girl who could not stop her mind from racing. I met with a young man who had a fear of doctors, had a very specific fear, felt, and he needed to go to the doctor, but he had this intense fear of that space and what would happen that just kept him going, kept him anxious. And someone who's consumed with the idea that other people don't like them, right? Just that hypervigilance, that sense of what are people really thinking of me? So this can show up in so many different ways. It really is common in the church. So I really want to ask you 2 questions as you go into this next reflection. One is, what has your experience been of anxiety or worry or fear? When has this shown up, and how has this shown up in your life? And then secondly, I want you to kind of ponder something without going and doing any research. Just what do you think that God might or could say to this? Either in his own voice or his character. Just when you think about God, how could he speak to? What might he say to this struggle of anxiety? And it's okay if the answers you don't know. I just want you to even try to use your own resources, your own mind to consider, what does God say?